We reacted to the Patrick Mahomes deal because when I was getting my hair cut, it came up on the TV and on a tweet of some sort. I think Schefter reported it first. You read I thought it was potentially a fake account. Whenever they said 10-year deal, 12-year overall. I thought it was fake because the NFL doesn't do this. Listen, this is not normal. The Chiefs trusting Patrick Mahomes this much and Patrick Mahomes trusting the Chiefs this much to make a 12-year arrangement in a sport in a league that never, ever happens. Normally, it's the complete opposite. Normally, the players want as short as possible. The team wants as long as possible, normally 5-6 years, maybe. I guess there's an offensive lineman down at the Cowboys who signed an 8-year deal, but to ink a 12-year deal, that's a lot of trust in both sides that you have to have in each other. For them to get that done, I thought it was fake. Then I look up at the screen, they start reacting to it. I'm like, okay, everybody's starting to talk about this. We come in here and start talking. And as we start digesting all the numbers, right? As you start thinking and taking it all into account. Whenever the Super Bowl happened and Patrick Mahomes had a 3rd and 17 wasp call that he called himself for, and he was just sprinting backwards, a la like Steve Young back in the day, just running backwards off his back foot, throws it like 58 yards in the air to Tyreek Hill, first down. They go on to win a Super Bowl after being down in the Super Bowl, being down in the AFC Championship, being down in the divisional round, everything. I mean, they're just down. They were down the entire time, but Patrick Mahomes and that offense came back. As soon as the Super Bowl was over, they had the parade. Parade was awesome. Patty Mahomes chugging beers out there, looking like a kid who just celebrated or just won a Super Bowl. Dream came true. And then the conversation directly after that was the Chiefs are going to lock him down for a big extension. And then people started floating out numbers like $200 million guaranteed. And I'm like, $200 million? Good for Patrick Mahomes. He's going to get $200 million? And then you start looking at the Kansas City Chiefs cap space, and you're like, the Kansas City Chiefs literally have $14 to spend in cap space. I have no idea how they are going to pay Patty Mahomes. Then they start making some moves. Then they start doing this. Then you bring in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Then you start bringing in all these teams. You're like, damn, this team's going to be good for a long time. But that extension that Patrick Mahomes was supposed to get, that seems like a big fairy tale. Nobody was talking about it. Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, big conversation. Philip Rivers goes to Indianapolis Colts, big conversation. Cam Newton, what the hell's going to happen to him? Nobody understands. He goes to the Patriots, obviously. Obviously, he goes to the Patriots. That steals the conversation. Nobody was talking about Patrick Mahomes, except for when he worked out with Dez Bryant, and some post got put out there that Patrick Mahomes said Dez Bryant was one of his favorite players. Other than that, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have not been a talking point for this entire NFL offseason through this quarantine. And then out of nowhere, behind the closed doors, Veach and Patty Mahomes and Andy Reid and that whole squad were negotiating the largest deal in the history of a sport. The biggest deal that has ever happened in the NFL. A deal that no matter how you look at this thing is worth $500 million for a player in a sport that is never anywhere near the amount of money that baseball is or international soccer is or anything like that. This is a brand new world for the NFL and for the Kansas City Chiefs. And you got people out there, okay? $500 million, $477 in the way it's structured, and then another $25 million in incentives, $1.25 million for an AFC championship, $1.25 million for an MVP each year, which is what? You do the math, 2.5, you do the whole math, another $25 million on top of that, so $502 million basically. So quick math there on Schefter's tweet, $477 million. That's $25 million in incentives. You do 25 plus 477. What does that equal? Somebody tell me. 502.
Normally.
He says 503. Once Schefter tweets 503, though, Bleacher Report puts up a 503 plus. Everybody else starts putting up a 503 plus. And I thought I was just too damn high. I'm like, wait a minute. I know that we're talking big numbers here, okay? But 477 plus 25 is 502. Is it not? Is it not? And then I saw everybody start posting. I'm like, well, I must it must be the vitamins that I'm on. I can't do math anymore. I did an iPhone check on it, the whole thing. But no matter how you look at this, $477 million to play quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs for the next 12 years. Now, Uncle Sam is going to get in that ass. So you take out another 238 and a half or whatever. So you take that out. So, okay, so he's now at $238.5 million over the next 12 years that he is actually raking in, right? This is Uncle Sam's already got his. The Kansas City got theirs. The county got theirs. The state got theirs. Everybody got their taxes. He's at like $238.5 million. And there's people out there that are saying this is a terrible deal by Patrick Mahomes. People are like, this is a bad deal. Don't do it. Now, Mike Florio has been on this show a lot. Mike Florio and I have known each other a long time. Mike Florio and I have a very friendly relationship. Sometimes he says some things, though, and we like it. I like Mike Florio. He's had me on his show. But sometimes he says some things where it doesn't make a lot of sense to me whenever you think about it from a practical fashion, which is how he normally looks at things. He said that this was a terrible deal for Patrick Mahomes, along with other people, because they feel like in 8 years, what's the quarterback market going to be, which I completely understand. But if you look at the way the structure of Patty Mahomes' setup is, he's getting like $56 million in year 7, like $50 million in year 9. I would assume the quarterback market might be near that whenever you're in year 2030, 2029. But also the fact that they gave him $500 million deal when they had no money. If you are looking at this just from a practical standpoint, you have a chance to sign a piece of paper that says you're going to get paid $502 million over the next 12 years. That, by the way, if you come from billions of dollars, maybe a bad deal. If you don't, though, that is a good deal. Now, you can start diving into the semantics. So, well, in 10 years from now, he could be making 55, 60 million. Okay, so maybe there's an extra 50 million he's leaving on the table, maybe 60 million, maybe 70 million. Cool. That is a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. But when you compare that to $500 million being negotiated right now after winning a Super Bowl, who knows what's going to happen next year? Cam Newton and New England Patriots somehow might pull some things out of their ass and be the next. You can sign a piece of paper that says $502 million is potentially coming to you in the next 12 years. I'm signing that piece of paper. This is the same thing that isn't, I assume there's lawyers out there who come from very wealthy backgrounds, and there's people who are very smart who are like, well, that's just not the right way to play it. Look what Kirk Cousins did. Look what Kirk Cousins was able to do. It's like, well, Kirk Cousins did a lot of that where he's only taking the amount of money, whatever, blah, 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 and he's nowhere near $500 million. You look at like Matt Ryan, I believe Khalil Mack and somebody else, you put those three together, they're nowhere near what he's making. So the people that are coming out and saying, well, this is a bad deal. Now, I appreciate the fact that you're trying to take a stand for Patrick Mahomes 7, 8, 9 years from now, where nobody knows what the world is going to be. Who knows how many fans we're going to have in stands, what salary cap's going to be. I guess it averages out to like 18.75% of the estimated salary cap is what he's going to be making for the next 12 years. But the people that say it's a bad deal, I just would like to put a piece of paper in front of them that says, here's $502 million, sign it and tell me it's a bad deal. That is what I like. The same thing with Dak Prescott. As soon as I heard Dak Prescott was given a piece of paper that says you will make $31.9 million over the next 12 months, it would be very hard for me to look at that and go, no. Now, granted, Dak Prescott's looking at this deal going, I'm happy I didn't sign that thing. We're in a whole new world. I'm not sure, and I'll echo the sentiments of a lot of people here. I don't think that Dak, Deshaun, Lamar, let's say Baker. That was rude. That was very, very rude. I should not have done that. But Baker is going to be up for a contract here. Let's say they win a Super Bowl this year. Nobody has a clue what's going to happen. Probably not in the AFC. It's going to be difficult with the Chiefs, especially because they just paid Patrick Mahomes and he's motivated. But let's say that, and Cam Newton's up there. But let's say Baker. I don't think any of these quarterbacks, now their agents might try to pitch in and tell them that. And maybe some friends and family might tell them that. But I think these quarterbacks, when they look in the mirror, they know like Patrick Mahomes at a different level. This guy's won the MVP and a Super Bowl already. And he brought Kansas City back to life. And as Dan Orlovsky mentioned this morning, he was a part of 4 of the top 5 television shows on television last year, Kansas City Chiefs were. So it's just like that guy is a different anomaly. Not saying that Dak and Deshaun, Lamar, Baker, Kyler, whoever's up next, whoever ends up getting the big Josh Allen, if he gets hot, who knows, right? Sam Darnold, any of these next, I think they all know that they're not going to get that 10 to 12 year deal. But anytime a quarterback or somebody in your position gets signed for a crap ton of cash, it's always good for you. Will this make Dak deal get done and get finished? I don't think so. Will this make the Deshaun Lamar deal get done? I don't think so. But I think it definitely means that they're going to get in between 35 and 40 now that somebody's getting $45 million a year.
Yeah, can't it just be a good deal for both? Because Patrick Mahomes is getting $500 million, and then also the Kansas City Chiefs have their guy for the next 12 years. And Greeny made a very interesting point this year that 12 years ago, so like the length of Patrick Mahomes' contract, Manning and Favre were making $12 million a year. And now quarterbacks, the highest paid quarterbacks, are making $35 or $45 for Mahomes. So that went up $20 million in 12 years. So if it goes up $20 million and people are making $55 million, Patrick Mahomes is still making $50 in his last year of those contracts. So it's good, still good for him. It's good for the team because they have him under control. It could be good for both.
And this deal is going to get renegotiated about 8-9 years into this thing because they're going to need some salary cap or something's going to change or Patrick Mahomes wants more money. And I think Kansas City, the Chiefs, which is not normal for a billionaire franchise, they have shown a lot of respect to all their players, I think, right? I think they've shown Patrick Mahomes a great amount of respect here. I think what they're they're doing for their team shows a lot. But boy, you think that they're going to run into cap space at some point, and I would assume at that point there's going to be a renegotiation for this thing. But I think this was Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes saying to each other, hey, we want to do this for the long term. We're going to keep you on this rookie contract for the next 2 years because we got a lot of guys on our team, okay? We got $27 million for the next 2 years. This is just how it's going to work. We're going to play this out. But we want you to know now that when this rookie deal is up, we want you to get broken off. That is the old olive branch getting extended, which doesn't normally happen. This does not normally happen in franchises. I mean, you look at the Green Bay Packers, they're trying to run Aaron Rodgers out of town. You know what I mean? You look at Carson Wentz, he signs a $100 million deal. They draft another quarterback in the second round. This is not normal for a franchise to do this. And the fact that the Chiefs did it, I think it makes it a much more appealing place for free agents too, who potentially are looking to ring chase at the end of their careers and take less money because they know they got the guy for at least another decade or so.
Do you think there's cause for concern when you look at over the next 12 years, there's a chance that like Andy Reid won't be there or Brett Veach won't be there, and then at that point, like Mahomes' skills kind of waver a little bit, and then they just cut bait?
This is more from Florio's.
Yeah, that was one of his points.
And I can understand that there's a thought that Andy Reid might ride off into the sunset in 5 years or 6 years or Veach. But if Veach is still there, he's hiring a coach that likes Pat Mahomes. Look for Cliff Kingsbury to potentially move from Arizona Cardinals right over to the Chiefs in 5-6 years. Like, that is what they're going to do. Maybe it's Nagy, by the way. Bring Nagy back because he was in that Chiefs offense, get him out of that Bears situation. But I believe they will hire somebody that Patrick Mahomes likes. Now, could they completely about face on this stance about Patrick Mahomes, even though it appears the day after the Super Bowl, after he chugged all those beers and had a good time, the next day he was already working out again and he wants to get after it, and he's a generational guy where his dad was a professional athlete. Will that ever change? Maybe that'll change. But it feels like the Kansas City Chiefs are very much in the Patrick Mahomes business. And that sounds like such an egregious statement to say after they just agreed to pay him $502 million. But what I mean is in a long haul. Like, I think they're in the Patrick Mahomes business for the long haul, and that means decision-making later if they do have to hire a new coach or bring somebody else in. And maybe Pat Mahomes doesn't care. Maybe Patrick Mahomes is a guy just say, hey, I don't care, I'm a ball. And if they think Andy Reid is the reason why Patrick Mahomes is successful, I can see that because he is a brilliant mind. But look at all the other quarterbacks that Andy Reid has worked with. They've never been able to do what Patrick Mahomes has been able to do. They're great for each other. And I just hope maybe Andy Reid coaches for another 12 years. Maybe we get the big red Kool-Aid man popping through the wall for another 12 years over there in Kansas City.